In this video, I want to talk about radiation side effects, things that I wished I knew going into my radiation treatment, and then other things that are common knowledge. And in the midst of all of this unfolding, I'm going to unweave my personal story, my personal experience with radiation treatment for my breast cancer journey. Whether you went through a whole bunch of breast cancer treatment prior to radiation, or you just recently had a lumpectomy or a mastectomy, coming to this next step of radiation therapy can be scary. So let's talk about it. Radiation exposure is one of the top fears that so many of us have going into our radiation treatment. If you go to this video above right here, it's the prior one, the one I made prior to the one I'm recording right now. It will talk about how your radiation oncology team helps to minimize that risk. You can go to that here. It's my hope that you don't make the same mistakes I did. Now, granted, some of the things that happened in my personal radiation treatment journey may have been unavoidable, but some of them may have been lessened if I knew some of the things that I didn't know or didn't take seriously in my personal radiation treatment. I have 12 takeaways to give you. So let's get started. Takeaway number 1, before I dive too deeply into the radiation side effects that I experienced and the tips, I want you to know that your journey is your journey. Your journey is not my journey or the next person's journey. So my radiation treatment was probably one of the worst experiences that I had in my breast cancer journey. That is not most people's experience as breast cancer survivors. Most people have a harder time recovering from chemotherapy or dealing with chemotherapy side effects than dealing with the radiation treatment. It's my hope that what I share in these future takeaways will help lessen your side effects and what you endure, but you may not even have any of the issues or very few issues compared to my issues that I had in my radiation treatment. So please keep that in mind, because I don't want to freak you out with the rest of this video. Takeaway number 2, if there is a differing opinion between your radiation oncologist and their nurse and the technicians, 1, you might want to seek another radiation oncologist. It depends on if the story is similar to mine. Or 2, and this can happen along with number 1, you want to err on the side of the radiation technicians. Now, why do I say that and what happened? Okay, so my radiation oncologist was saying studies show that there's no difference between whether you wear no ointment or lotion, no skincare products on your skin during or before your radiation, or whether you do. And I'll get back to that with another takeaway here soon. But that takeaway number 2 is to listen more to your radiation technician if that is your case. Listen to them more. Now, my mistake was that I assumed a radiation oncologist knew more just because they might have more letters next to their name. They may have gone to school longer. But don't dismiss those radiation technicians as knowing less than your radiation oncologist. Why do I say that? I say that because you will see your radiation technicians all the time, Monday through Friday. Sometimes some people meet on weekends, on Saturdays too. But for me personally, I met my radiation technicians for those 15 to 30 minute usually appointments every single day that I had a radiation treatment. How often did I see my oncologist, my radiation oncologist, and their nurse? Once a week usually. So the radiation technicians, they see problems with the skin or side effects from the skin more quickly, sooner than your radiation oncologist and their nurse. And they warned me to not come into the radiation appointments with anything on my skin. My oncologist said studies show there's no difference. Naturally, takeaway number 3 would be not to wear any skincare product at least 2 hours prior to your radiation treatments every single time. Every single time, make sure you have no skincare product on your radiated skin or in the area that you're going to have radiated. Now, after your radiation appointment, you can slather on as much of it as you want to, but do not put any ointment, any creams, any lotions on your skin at least 2 hours before your radiation appointments each and every time. Now, it may have happened anyway, but toward the end of my radiation treatments, my skin was like a rotisserie chicken. Granted, I'm fairly light-skinned, so maybe the radiation experience that I had may have unfolded the way it did simply because I'm fairly light-skinned. But I have seen African American people that have experienced very similar, if not worse, burns than I did. So that's not necessarily an indicator of whether your radiation treatment is going to be easier or harder. So the things that I'm sharing with you, I hope that they can be tweaked for you not to have the same experience that I did. I'm fairly light-skinned. I may look like I have a little bit of a tan or a little bit of color. That's because I go out and I take care of my animals. I don't make a point to stay out in the direct sunlight. I do try to get some vitamin D, but I don't try to stay in direct sunlight. My son is in cross country and track, so when I go to watch his events, sometimes it's hard to avoid the direct sunlight, even if I'm wearing a hat or bring an umbrella. Which is another thing, you do need to watch your, this is a bonus takeaway, you need to watch how much direct sunlight you're in, especially during your radiation treatment, but also in your life after breast cancer treatment. Don't try to tan, and actually try to either avoid direct sunlight or make sure that you have sunscreen on. That's a bonus takeaway. Takeaway number 4, use what's recommended. Now, maybe it's because radiation was so far down the line in my treatment. I had so many other things that I did prior to it that I wasn't thinking. They did give me samples of Aquaphor, so that's naturally probably what they recommended. And in hindsight, they were recommending the Aquaphor. They gave me samples. I think they gave me a coupon as well. But I used other things that they didn't necessarily encourage me to use. And I understand the argument of using natural stuff. That's why I was using some more natural stuff, because there aren't likely as many chemicals compared to Aquaphor or CeraVe. I'll put some links in the description below to the leading skincare products that most radiation oncologists recommend that you use, or tell you that you should use, as well as one that I think would be good for you, that's more natural, but run it by your oncology team. And if you don't trust your oncologist, your radiation oncologist, maybe see if you can find some things that other radiation oncologists recommend. Do a search here on YouTube and see what other radiation oncologists recommend. There might be a more holistic or integrative radiation oncologist that would be okay with you using calendula or using coconut or something more natural. Takeaway number 5, Make sure that you are using something that is unscented. And this is another reason to try to use what your radiation oncologist originally recommends, because those products, which I will link some down in the description below, are unscented products, because anything with fragrance in it is likely to be an irritant for skin that's already tender. Takeaway number 6, you are at your own risk when it comes to using more natural homemade remedies. But again, you can see if there is a more integrative radiation oncologist here on YouTube that might recommend something. Takeaway number 7, I was also told that I could use aloe vera. Make sure that it is alcohol-free aloe vera. I will put a link to 1 or 2 down in the video description below. I did not make that mistake, but I can see someone easily picking up aloe vera and not thinking about whether or not it has alcohol in it. You definitely want it to be alcohol-free aloe vera, because the alcohol, if you get the wrong one, can dry your skin out even more. And especially if you do have open skin at some point, that alcohol, that's gonna put your skin in a more fiery situation than it already is. But yeah, so intentionally look for alcohol-free aloe vera. Toward the end of my radiation treatments, my skin not only looked like rotisserie chicken, but it was starting to get hard. It was cracking. There were blisters, and I even had some weeping going on. So takeaway number 8 is to make sure that you wear loose-fitting clothing at any point during your radiation, because you don't want to irritate your skin any more than you have to endure an irritation to your skin. So wear loose-fitting clothing. Toward the end of my radiation treatments, my skin was starting to weep. In addition to having the open skin, open sores and weeping, along with the skin product being slathered on, you're going to want to wear old clothes so that you don't leave a residue on good clothes, because eventually that stuff may be hard to wash out. So takeaway number 9, when you're at the end, toward the end of your treatments, and also whenever you're wearing skin care products that are slathered on, you're gonna want to wear old clothes with that. Ask for Mepilex. I didn't even know that Mepilex existed, so I didn't know what Mepilex was about. So takeaway number 9 is to ask for Mepilex. It's a moleskin that helps protect your skin from the clothing that you're wearing, and protect your clothing that you're wearing from whatever you have under there. But it's just a really good thing to have. I will put a link in the video description below here so that you can know what it looks like, and if you feel like it, if you want to be prepared ahead of time, you could order it from the link below. Takeaway number 10, if you are working full-time or even part-time, I would suggest that you try to schedule your radiation appointments toward the end of the day, so that when you go home you can rest, because radiation has cumulative effects, and over time you may be very tired, very exhausted. Think about it this way: when you are outside a lot and you're under the sun a lot, you can be exhausted just being in the heat. Having radiation therapy over time can have the same effect. So yeah, if you're working, try to pick if you can, try to pick appointments that allow you to go home when you are done with your radiation therapy. Takeaway number 11, I suggest that you think about your food and what you are drinking. You need to hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. And I've also heard that protein is very important because protein helps with your skin rebuilding later on. It helps keep it strong as much as possible. So this is a double takeaway. Hydrate, 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 hydrate. Did I say hydrate? Yes, just like I did with chemotherapy. And we should do it all the time, but definitely when we are doing active breast cancer treatment. Hydrate, 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 and make sure that your diet includes plenty of protein. Takeaway number 12 is my very last takeaway to give you in this video, and that is to be kind to yourself. Really, really, really listen to your body and allow yourself to take this one day at a time. In fact, radiation was my active breast cancer treatment that taught me to not only take this one day at a time, but there were times that I found myself having to take this one moment at a time, one breath at a time. I literally had to breathe to bear some of the pain. And like I said at the very beginning of this video with takeaway number 1, my experience is not necessarily going to be your experience. So with that in mind, all the way to the end with this last takeaway, take this one day at a time, one moment at a time, one breath at a time when you have to. I literally, one time, it was toward the end of my active breast cancer treatment. I think it was the second to the last radiation treatment. I literally cried in the stall when I was changing back into my clothes from that gown that I had on top. And it's okay for you to cry. Listen to your body, listen to your emotions. Do not deny yourself rest. Do not deny yourself the permission to go through your emotions honestly, because when you block the emotions of anger or sadness or fear, you can't plow through them. You can't move through them. You're blocking them, and it takes even further for you to move forward mentally. And when you don't allow yourself to rest, it may have the same effect for you physically. It may keep you from recovering more quickly. So I want you to take a moment and breathe. Breathe in, breathe out. You're gonna be able to do this if you take it one day at a time, one moment at a time, and one breath at a time. I believe in you. And if you feel alone, if you feel scared, if you feel angry, if you're in pain and you just need somebody to talk to that is going to understand, go to the My Breast Cancer Support Group in the link below in the video description below, Pink Warrior Calendar Girls, and I can put some other links in there as well so that you can go to a support group where people get it.
You're never told that life could ever get this way. This bill's a joke, you're broke, your love life's steal weight. This journey feels like you're in second gear, where it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your year. But I'll be there for you when the rain hits the door. I'll be there for you because I've been there before. I'll be there for you, and you're there for me too.